everyone, it's Belle again, and today's topic in TED Talk is about racism. The title is Let's Get to the Root of Racial Injustice. So, the speaker of this TED Talk was Megan Ming Francis. She is a professor of law and politics, and also she is a researcher of history and law. So she starts off with her own personal story of witnessing her brother. About her brother. So it's her brother's personal story of being violently dragged by a police officer, a white police officer, and being accused because he was accused of selling drugs and possessing drugs. However, he was not. And without certain identification or certifying jobs, the police officer just suddenly attacked him and put him down on the ground, disarmed him, even though he was not armed at all. He was violently harassed by the police, who are supposed to make citizens feel safe, despite the gender and race of the people. So, like the title, she talked about how we have to focus on the root of racism. Why is this, we all know why racism is happening in the United States, but about, what makes racism? We all know the reason for it, but we all don't know what maintains it. So she brought up with two main points. First, we are diagnosing it wrong. The wrong diagnosis. And second, the wrong cure. I actually don't exactly know what cure means, but I assume that it is, it might be similar to method, maybe? Because after she said wrong cure, she mentioned how the method of an effort of reducing racism has been, it's kind of on the wrong track. So I will assume that it is about the methods for reducing racism. So it is said that 3 times more black people are shot and violently harassed by the police rather than white people. And the cognition within the society, when a black man passes through, women unconsciously clutches their purse, or they walk faster relatively, and also they feel, I don't know, but there's no reason to be, but they feel very scared, frightened, insecure. And actually, I have an acquaintance, a friend of mine who have been to the USA recently, who is Korean. He said that it is really funny how he considers himself definitely not racist, and he treats all race equally. But at night, when he was passing by, a black guy was right behind him, and suddenly, very unconsciously, he just walked fastly and lowered his body like this. And when a white couple was ahead of him, right in front of him, he felt relieved. Really funny how even non-racist people unconsciously have the thought that black people have the potential to attack them and treat them as a potential threat to them, unconsciously. That's the scary part, because consciously thinking that all race are equal and we have to treat all race the same, we can strongly argue that we should not do that, but how we unconsciously do it, that's kind of beyond the criteria of our control. So I think the problem with this among people might be a problem with social media, because social media tend to show us videos about black people attacking others, black people having guns, even though the crime rate is, I've heard that it's quite similar. So, also, like, her point was also that black people always, like the same situation, like the same example I just shared with you. She says that she also were in those kind of situations where people treat her as a threat, not a person. So when she was in the airport, she was possessed by authority, by the police, by the airport police for having a weapon, which they accused her ring as a knuckle, which could be very harmful to people and be used as a weapon. And she had to prove that she was a professor, and she had to show her certificate in order to be released from the police. And that is also a discrimination among black people, because black people have to show, like, they have to prove themselves that they are in this certain role, this certain job, to prove that they are not harmful. That means if she was not a professor, if she was like a low-income worker, then this airport police might not have let her to board the plane that she had to. So she thinks that the silence, like this unconscious treatment of black people, is a big problem. That's why not only a minor racist, like active racist, like the police or the airport security guard, are the actual basin of racism. However, everyone who unconsciously treats black people different than others as a threat, and also people who are silent about racism, the violence that is happening around them. She says that they all are involved in this whole idea and whole environment of racism. And also, she thinks that the methods are wrong of how people treat racism. So most people, she also says that BBC, CNN, most of the news articles, and most researchers say that education is the best way to reduce racism, to educate the children, to not show hatred against each other if they have a different race, a different gender, and everything. But she says that, like, it's not enough. So education might be a great method to reduce racism, but she says that there are more impactful, influential ways they could provide to the public. For example, she gave out an example of a campaign that NAACP have held. It was a anti-racism campaign, and after that, a very critical decrease on discrimination rates, discrimination shooting, like this racism-based shooting violence or hatred, harassment has definitely impactfully decreased. So she believes that these kind of activeness, education is, it kind of relies on the potential, like the potential of the future. When we educate the youth, the children, the future environment will not be like this. But she seeks for activeness, active anti-racism campaigns, active voices, and active cognition of how we should treat them as equal, and try to put that in mind, that we don't unconsciously treat them as different in our daily lives. So this was our TED Talk for today. Thank you, bye.